The ruins shook with the sound of boots and weapons. Red lights cut through the broken walls, sweeping across the darkness like hunting eyes. The mercenaries were closing in, their voices echoing through the hollow tower. Cale stood in the shadows, his weapon steady, his scarred face lit by faint neon glow. Lyra crouched behind him, her breath fast, her body trembling. She clutched her stomach where the seed slept inside her blood. The enemy was everywhere. Dozens of armored soldiers surrounded the tower, their guns humming with deadly power. The leader's voice boomed through a speaker. "Cale, step aside and live. Hand her over and you walk free. Resist, and you both die tonight." The words carried like thunder, bouncing off the broken walls. Lyra's glowing eyes filled with tears. She leaned close to Cale, whispering, "Please, if you want to leave, do it now. Don't throw your life away for me." Cale didn't turn to her. His eyes stayed fixed on the enemy lights outside. His voice was steady, low, like steel being sharpened. "I told you. No one else would." The first shots came like fire raining from the sky. Energy bolts tore into the ruins, exploding against stone and metal. The air filled with smoke and sparks. Cale moved fast, pulling Lyra deeper into the ruins. His weapon fired back, each shot precise, each movement cold and controlled. But there were too many. For every mercenary that fell, more pushed in. The fight grew closer, tighter. Cale kicked over a slab of stone, using it as cover, his body shielding Lyra from the storm. She pressed against him, her heart pounding so loud it drowned the thunder of guns. "Cale," she cried, her voice breaking. "You can't win this. They'll kill you. They'll kill us both." He didn't answer. His jaw was set, his eyes burning with focus. Then the mercenaries stopped firing. The leader stepped forward into the ruins, his armored boots heavy on the ground. His weapon glowed red, aimed straight at Cale. Behind him, soldiers filled the shadows like wolves. "It's over," the leader growled. "One man cannot fight an army. You know this. Give her to us. Take the reward. Be free." The silence that followed was sharp, suffocating. Cale stood tall, his scar catching the light, his weapon lowered but ready. His eyes shifted, not to the leader, but to Lyra. Her face was pale, wet with tears. Her lips trembled as she whispered, Don't give me away." The leader stepped closer, his voice like poison. "She is not a woman. She is a weapon. Her blood is death. Do not waste your life for her. Choose wisely, Cale. This is your last chance." The ruins seemed to freeze. Time slowed. Cale's face was unreadable. His eyes moved between the soldiers, the leader, and the broken alien woman crouched at his feet. Lyra's heart stopped. She couldn't breathe. She knew this moment. She had lived it before. Men who swore to protect her had sold her in the end. Kindness always rotted into betrayal. Would Cale be the same? The soldier's scarred hand tightened on his weapon. His body shifted, as if ready to step aside, as if ready to hand her over. Lyra's eyes filled with despair. "Please," she whispered, her voice barely a breath. Then Cale moved in one motion. Faster than the eye could follow, his weapon snapped up. The first shot tore through the leader's helmet, dropping him where he stood. In the same breath, Cale's voice roared through the ruins. "She's not yours." The ruins erupted in chaos. Blaster fire exploded again, soldiers shouting as Cale dragged Lyra behind cover. His weapons spat fire, his movements sharp and brutal. The fury of a man who had chosen his side. Lyra clung to him, tears streaming down her face. For the first time, someone had chosen her. Not as a weapon, not as a bargain, but as a life worth saving. The battle raged long into the night. Cale fought like a storm, cutting through the mercenaries with the precision of a soldier who had nothing left to lose. Bodies fell, smoke filled the ruins, and still he stood at last. Silence returned. The ruins were broken, littered with sparks and blood. The surviving mercenaries fled into the dark. Leaving their dead behind, Kale lowered his weapon, his chest rising and falling heavy. His scar was dark with sweat, and Lyra crawled to his side, her hands shaking. Why? Why did you choose me? Kale looked at her, his eyes tired but steady. His voice was quiet, almost human now. Because you're not a weapon. You're a survivor. And maybe that's worth more than war. Lyra's eyes blurred with tears. She whispered, "Then I am not alone anymore." The camera lingers on them, scarred soldier and starving alien. Standing together in the ruins of a dying world, the choice was made, and it changed everything. The storage unit was burning with light and fire. Red bolts tore across the air, smashing into walls and crates. Sparks rained down like falling stars. Kale moved through it all like a shadow of war, silent, precise, deadly. Each shot from his weapon was clean. One mercenary dropped, then another. But there were too many. For every soldier that fell, two more pushed in through the broken doorway. "Kale?" Lyra cried, her voice shaking. "Stay down." He barked, pushing her lower behind the cover of metal. She obeyed, her glowing eyes wide with fear. She had seen fighters before, but never like this. Kale did not fight with wild rage. He fought with cold memory, the way only a soldier could. Every move was planned. Every shot was exact. Still, they could not stay here. The mercenaries were closing in, surrounding the building like a tightening noose. Kale glanced at Lyra, his jaw tight. "We're leaving now." Before she could answer, he grabbed her wrist and pulled her up. Her legs stumbled, her body weak, but his grip was iron. He fired with one hand as he dragged her with the other. Cutting through the room toward a side exit, the mercenaries shouted, their boots hammering against the ground. "Don't let them escape." Lyra's heart pounded as she ran, her breath sharp and fast. Her body wanted to collapse, but Kale's strength dragged her forward. They crashed through the back door into the cold night air. The alley outside was narrow and dark. Neon lights flickered above, broken signs buzzing weakly. Trash and smoke filled the air. But it was freedom for now. Kale didn't stop. He pulled Lyra down the alley, his eyes scanning every shadow, every rooftop. He knew they were being hunted behind them. Heavy boots thundered closer. The mercenaries were not giving up. "Faster," Kale ordered. Lyra tried. Her lungs burned, her legs felt like fire, but she forced herself forward. She had run her whole life, but this time it felt different. She was not running alone. Blaster fire exploded against the walls beside them. Lyra screamed as sparks flew past her face. Kale shoved her against the wall, shielding her with his body as he fired back. One mercenary fell, but more were coming. "They'll chase us until we're dead," Lyra gasped. Kale's eyes narrowed. "Then we don't let them catch us." They burst out of the alley into a wide street. Hover carts rolled past, lights flashing, engines whining. Crowds of humans and aliens moved through the street, unaware of the danger about to spill into their path. Kale pulled Lyra into the chaos. "Stay close. Don't let go." The mercenaries stormed into the street seconds later. Their armor gleamed under the neon lights. People screamed and scattered as blaster fire erupted again. Civilians ran for cover. Carts crashed, alarms blared. Kale moved like a predator, weaving through the panicked crowd, pulling Lyra with him. His eyes were sharp, always searching for an exit. They ducked into another alley, this one darker, quieter. For a moment, it felt safe, but Lyra's chest was heaving, her body ready to collapse. She clutched her stomach, shaking. "Kale, I can't. I can't keep running." He turned to her, his scar hard in the dim light. "You don't have a choice. You carry something worth more than food, more than life. If they get it, whole worlds burn." Her eyes widened. His words cut deep. He knew. He didn't know everything, but he knew enough. Her lips trembled. "It's inside me. In my blood. That's why they hunt me. That's why they'll never stop." Kale's stare was heavy, unreadable. He had suspected, but hearing her admit it made the truth colder. "What is it?" he asked, her voice cracked. "A seed. A fragment of my people's power. It can heal worlds, or destroy them. And I'm the last who carries it." Kale stood silent, his jaw tight, his eyes locked on her. The weight of her words hung between them. From the distance, the sound of boots grew louder again. The mercenaries had found their trail. Lyra's voice shook as she whispered, "You should leave me. If you stay, they'll kill you too." Kale slowly holstered his weapon, his expression unreadable. "Not yet." Before she could answer, he lifted her into his arms, carrying her as if she weighed nothing. Lyra gasped, clutching his coat as he began running again. The street behind them lit up with red bolts. The mercenaries had caught up, but Kale didn't stop. His boots pounded against the ground, his eyes fixed forward. He moved like a man who had already chosen. Lyra's heart raced as she looked up at him. For years, she had been alone, hunted, starving, ignored. And now, for the first time, someone was carrying her through the fire. The chase was only beginning. The night air was heavy with smoke and neon haze. Kale didn't stop running until the shouts of mercenaries faded behind them. His boots pounded across cracked stone, his breath steady despite the weight in his arms. Lyra clung to him, trembling. Her glowing eyes darted through the shadows, expecting death at every corner. But for now, only silence followed them. Finally, Kale ducked into a ruined tower on the edge of the colony. The building was nothing but broken walls and shattered glass, a forgotten place from a forgotten war. He laid Lyra gently on a slab of stone and crouched beside her, scanning the area with sharp eyes. "We're clear," he muttered, though his hand never left the grip of his weapon. Lyra's chest rose and fell fast. Her voice shook. "They won't stop. They'll never stop. As long as I live. They will hunt me." Kale looked at her, his scar catching the faint light of the ruined tower. His voice was low, edged with suspicion. "Then tell me why. No more lies. What do you carry inside you?" For a long moment, she said nothing. Her fingers twisted the rough cloth around her shoulders, her eyes wet with fear. She wanted to trust him, but trust had betrayed her before. Kale leaned closer, his gaze hard as steel. "You asked me to protect you. Protection has a price. The price is truth." Her lips trembled. She closed her eyes, and for the first time, she spoke the full truth. "My people. We were healers. Long ago, we found a way to weave life itself. Our blood could cure, rebuild, even bring back what was lost. But the humans, the empires, the warlords, they saw only power. They turned our gift into a weapon." Her voice cracked. Tears slipped down her pale cheeks. "They burned our worlds, hunted us like animals. My family. Everyone. Gone. I am the last carrier of the seed." Kale's eyes narrowed. "Seed," she nodded weakly. "It lives in my blood. A living fragment of my people's creation. It can grow into a force that heals, or a weapon that destroys. In the wrong hands, it can wipe out entire planets. That is why they chase me. That is why they want me alive." The silence that followed was heavy, almost crushing. The ruined tower seemed to breathe with the weight of her words. Kale stood slowly, his scarred face unreadable. He paced the floor, boots grinding against broken stone. Finally, he spoke. "You carry life. And death." His voice was steady, cold. "No wonder they want you." Lyra's eyes searched his face. Fear twisted in her chest. She whispered, "Now you know. You could take me to them. You could trade me for anything you want. Food, wealth, freedom." Kale stopped walking. He turned to her, his gaze sharp as a blade. "Do you think I'm like them?" Her voice was small. "I don't know what you are." For a moment, silence hung between them again. Kale's eyes softened just slightly, almost hidden beneath the hard lines of his scar. He crouched back down, his voice lower now, almost human. "I was a soldier," he admitted. "I fought in wars I didn't believe in. I killed for flags I didn't respect. I watched leaders grow fat while soldiers starved. When the fighting ended, I walked away. I swore I'd never serve another master." Lyra's breath caught. She studied him with wide, trembling eyes. "Then why? Why save me?" Kale held her gaze. His voice was like stone, firm and steady. "Because no one else would." The words struck her deeper than any wound. For years, she had been ignored, laughed at, hunted like prey. And now here was a man scarred by war, carrying her through fire, simply because no one else would. But the moment of quiet was short. Outside, faint echoes stirred the night. Voices, boots. The mercenaries were hunting again. Sweeping the ruins, Kale stood, his hand on his weapon. "They're close." Lyra's voice trembled. "Kale, if they capture me, if they take the seed, entire worlds will fall. You don't understand how powerful it is." Kale's jaw tightened. His eyes burned with something fierce. "Then I won't let them take you." Lyra's heart raced. She had heard promises before. But in his voice there was no softness, no false hope. Only a hard truth. The soldier had chosen his side, in the distance. Red lights pierced the darkness as mercenaries spread across the ruins. The hunt was coming closer. Kale looked at Lyra one last time. "Stay behind me, no matter what happens." And with that, he stepped into the shadows of the tower, ready to face the storm. The night was falling on the colony. Neon lights flickered above the streets, buzzing weakly as shadows stretched long across the ground. The market was quiet now, its chaos fading into silence. But two figures moved through the back alleys, away from the crowd. Kale walked ahead, his steps heavy, steady. Lyra followed behind, her weak legs almost giving way with every step. She held the cloth he had given her tight around her shoulders. The taste of bread still lingered on her tongue, but her mind was racing. Why was this man helping her? Why, when no one else ever cared? She wanted to ask, but his silence was strong, like a wall. They stopped near an old storage unit. Rust covered the metal walls. A broken sign flickered faintly, showing this place was abandoned long ago. Kale pushed the door open with one hand, the metal creaking loudly. Inside, the air smelled of dust and oil. "Sit," Kale ordered. Lyra obeyed, lowering herself onto a broken crate. Her body ached, her arms shaking as she wrapped herself tighter in the cloth. For a while, Kale said nothing. He stood near the doorway, scanning the street outside. His hand rested close to the weapon at his side, always ready. He was a man who trusted no place, no moment. Finally, his voice broke the silence. "Tell me the truth." Lyra froze. "Truth." His dark eyes turned to her, sharp and unblinking. "You're not just a starving beggar. The way they looked at you, the way they spoke, they fear you." "Why?" Her throat tightened. She lowered her eyes, staring at the cracked floor. I told you. I'm just trying to live, she whispered. Cale stepped closer. His boots hit the floor heavy, echoing in the empty space. He crouched in front of her, his scar catching the dim light. His voice was low, steady, dangerous. I've seen beggars before. I've seen hunger before. But I've also seen lies. And you, his finger pointed at her chest. You are hiding something. Her breath caught. She wanted to deny it, but her hands trembled. She pressed them against her stomach, holding it like she was guarding something deep inside. Cale noticed. His eyes narrowed. What is it you carry? He asked. Lyra's heart pounded. She could not tell him. If she spoke the truth, she knew what would happen. Every bounty hunter, every soldier, every mercenary would come for her. She would be nothing but prey. Tears welled in her glowing eyes. Please, don't ask me. For a moment, Cale did not move. His stare burned into her like fire, trying to break through her silence. Then, slowly, he stood and turned away. You think silence protects you, he muttered, his voice rough. But silence only makes enemies come closer. Before she could answer, a sound broke the air. The thud of boots. The sharp hum of weapons. Lyra's eyes widened in terror. She knew that sound too well. Cale's hand was already on his weapon, his body tense like a predator ready to strike. He glanced at her. Who follows you? He demanded. Her lips shook. Her voice was barely a whisper. They found me. The door crashed open. Armed mercenaries filled the room, their armor dark, their helmets glowing with red lights. Guns aimed directly at Lyra. There she is, one of them growled. Step away from the alien, Cale. She belongs to us. Cale did not move. His weapon was half drawn, his eyes cold. She doesn't look like property to me. The lead mercenary laughed, a harsh sound. You don't know what you're protecting. That woman is not what she seems. She's dangerous. She carries something inside her that doesn't belong in this galaxy. Lyra's breath stopped. Her secret was out. Cale's eyes flicked toward her, studying her trembling body. He did not speak, but the truth was clear now. She was no ordinary beggar. She was carrying something powerful enough for killers to hunt her across worlds. The mercenary raised his weapon. Move aside, Cale. You have no part in this. The room was heavy with silence. Cale's scarred face remained calm. His hand tightened on his weapon. His eyes locked on the soldiers. Then, slowly, he said, if you want her, you'll have to take her from me. The tension exploded. Lyra gasped as the first shot rang out, the flash of red light filling the dark room. Cale moved like lightning, pulling her down to the ground as energy bolts ripped through the walls. Sparks flew, metal shattered. The truth was no longer hidden. The hunt had begun. The storage unit shook with the sound of blaster fire. Walls cracked, dust rained down from the ceiling. Cale pulled Lyra behind a fallen crate, his weapon drawn, his eyes sharp and steady. The mercenaries spread out, their armored boots heavy on the ground. Their helmets glowed red in the dim light. Their voices mechanical through speakers. Give her up, Cale, the leader barked. You can walk away alive. Protect her, and you die with her. Lyra's heart raced. Her body trembled as she gripped Cale's arm. Please, you don't understand. If they take me, it's over. Everything will be lost. Cale did not look at her. His focus was on the mercenaries. His scar caught the light as he muttered, You carry something they want. Something worth blood. And you're still not telling me what? Her lips shook. She wanted to speak, but fear tied her tongue. She had trusted no one for years. And yet, something about Cale's presence, his unshaken calm in the face of death, made her want to tell him. But before she could, Leader raised his weapon again. "This is your last chance," the mercenary growled. "Step aside. She is dangerous. She carries technology from her dead world. If it spreads, it will destroy everything." Lyra gasped. The words pierced her heart. She clutched her chest as if they had struck her there. Her secret spoken aloud. Kale's eyes flicked to her. For the first time, doubt appeared in his gaze. His voice was low, almost cold. "So it's true. You're not just a beggar." Tears burned Lyra's glowing eyes. She whispered, "I never wanted this. I never wanted to be hunted. I only wanted to survive." The mercenary stepped closer, his weapon aimed steady. "She's lying, Kale. Her kind made weapons that could shatter worlds. She carries the last piece. Do the right thing. Hand her over. You'll be rewarded. Food, credits, freedom." The offer hung in the air like poison. Lyra's chest tightened. She looked at Kale, her voice breaking. "Don't. Please don't give me to them." The silence was heavy. The air felt frozen. Kale stood tall, his weapon steady at his side. His face was unreadable, his scarred features cold as stone. He looked first at the mercenaries, then down at the starving alien woman at his feet. Two choices stood before him: hand her over and walk away alive. Richer, free. Protect her and invite war onto his own shoulders. The mercenaries could feel his hesitation. The leader smirked beneath his helmet. "You were a soldier once, Kale. You know the cost of foolish mercy. She is not worth it. Don't throw your life away." The name struck Lyra like thunder. Soldier, that explained his scar. His steady gaze, his calm in battle. He was not just a stranger. He was a man who had seen war, a man who had survived it. But what side had he been on? And what side would he choose now? Her breath came fast, shallow. If he betrayed her, she was finished. She would never escape again. Kale finally spoke. His voice was quiet but sharp, cutting through the tense silence. "You said she carries destruction." His eyes locked onto the mercenary leader. "But I see nothing but fear in her. She doesn't look like a weapon. She looks like prey." The leader snarled. "That's how they trick you. That's how they survive. Don't be a fool." Kale tilted his head slightly, his scar stretching with the faintest hint of a grim smile. "I've been called worse." Then, in one swift motion, he raised his weapon. The first shot tore through the air, striking the mercenary closest to the door. Sparks exploded as armor cracked. Chaos erupted. Lyra screamed as the firefight began. Kale pulled her low again, firing with precision, his movements sharp, controlled. He was no ordinary fighter. He was trained, dangerous. Relentless, the mercenaries returned fire, bolts scorching the walls, smoke filling the air. The room glowed red with deadly light. Through it all, Kale's voice stayed calm, cold, unshaken. "Stay behind me. Don't move unless I tell you." Lyra obeyed, pressing against the crate, her heart pounding like thunder. Her eyes never left him. The scarred soldier who had given her food, now standing between her and death. But her fear was not only for the mercenaries. It was for Kale himself. She had seen men protect her before only to betray her at the last moment. Would Kale be different? Or was this all just another dangerous offer, one she could not escape? The battle raged on. Sparks flew, metal screamed, and the truth of Kale's choice hung in the air, burning with every shot. The colony market was always loud, always full of life. Voices mixed together, human traders shouting prices. Alien sellers offering strange fruits, the sound of machines grinding in the background. But in the middle of all that noise, one voice was weak. A voice almost lost. It was the voice of a woman. She was not human. Her skin was pale silver, her eyes deep and glowing faint blue. Her body looked thin, fragile, almost broken. She stood near a broken stall, holding her stomach as hunger burned inside her. People walked past her, not even looking. The alien woman whispered, "Food. Please, just a little food." Nobody cared. She was starving. Her arms shook. She had not eaten for many days. Her stomach made sharp sounds, but no one offered even a piece of bread. Traders laughed as they counted their credits. Families bought fruit and meat, ignoring her. To them, she was invisible. She tried again, her voice a little louder. "Please. I give anything. My body. Take it. Just give me food." Heads turned for a second. Then people smirked. Some laughed. A human man selling metal parts spat on the ground and shouted, "Go away, alien. Nobody wants you." A group of young workers chuckled. "Look at her. She is begging to sell herself for scraps." The woman lowered her head. Shame burned in her chest. Her voice cracked as she repeated, "Please. I am so hungry, please." But they walked away. The market kept moving. Ships came and left from the landing pads above. The smell of cooked meat filled the air. She smelled it too, and it was torture. Her thin fingers shook as she reached toward a stall, but the owner slapped her hand away. "Don't touch. You don't pay, you don't eat." The owner barked. Her body was weak. Her legs almost failed her. She leaned against the stall, her breath short, her chest rising and falling fast. For a moment, she thought this was it. Maybe she would die here, in the dirt, while the crowd walked past. She thought nobody would even notice. Nobody would care. And then he appeared. At first, he was only a shadow moving between the crowd. Taller than most, walking with slow steps, calm and steady. His clothes were plain, but there was something different about him. His face was rough, his jaw strong, and a long scar cut across his cheek. His eyes, dark and sharp, were the kind of eyes that had seen many. The man stopped. He looked at her, not like the others, not with disgust or laughter. His eyes were steady, cold, but curious. He did not move for a moment. He only watched her, as if he was trying to see something that others could not. The woman raised her head weakly. For a second, hope flickered in her glowing eyes. She whispered, "Food, please." The crowd kept moving around them, but the man did not move away. He walked closer, slow, heavy boots pressing against the dirt floor of the market. People turned their heads, watching him now. The starving woman held her breath. Her heart raced. Would he laugh at her too? Would he push her away? Would he take her body and leave her broken? The man reached into his coat. The crowd whispered. Some thought he might strike her. Others thought he might arrest her. But instead, he pulled out food, a small pack of dried meat, a piece of bread, and a bottle of water. The woman stared at it. Her mouth opened, but no words came. Her hands shook as she reached, but she was afraid. She thought maybe he would pull it away at the last second, just to mock her. But he didn't. He held it out. "Steady, eat," he said in a deep voice. Simple, clear. The woman gasped, then grabbed the food with trembling hands. She tore the bread apart, eating fast, almost crying as she chewed. Water spilled down her chin as she drank, but she didn't care. The crowd whispered louder now. Why is he helping her? Wasting food on an alien? Maybe he wants something. But the man ignored them. He only watched her eat. His face was calm, unreadable. The woman's eyes filled with tears. She swallowed and whispered, "Why? Why are you helping me?" "Nobody? Nobody ever." The man did not answer. He only looked at her. The market suddenly felt different. The air was heavy. The people around them were not laughing anymore. They were curious, suspicious, even angry. The woman finished eating, her breathing calmer now. But her heart was not calm. Something about this man was strange. Something about his presence was powerful. She looked at him, confused and scared, but also filled with a new kind of hope. Who was he? Why did he care when no one else did? And what did he want from her? The camera lingers on his scarred face, his cold eyes, and the silent crowd around them. The hook is set. The story has only just begun. The alien woman sat on the ground, holding the last piece of bread in her shaking hands. Her lips moved slowly, whispering words of thanks. For the first time in many weeks, she felt food in her stomach. For the first time, she felt a drop of kindness. The man stood above her. He did not speak. He simply watched her finish the food, his face hard, his eyes calm like cold iron. The market, however, was not calm. People were whispering louder now. They pointed at him, some shaking their heads, some laughing. To them, this was not an act of kindness. Why would he feed her? A traitor muttered. He must be a fool. That alien isn't worth a single credit. Maybe he wants her body after. All another said with a smirk. But the man ignored them. The woman looked up. Her glowing blue eyes filled with both fear and confusion. She had learned that humans only looked at her in two ways, with hunger or with hate. But this man's gaze was different. It was heavy, like he was measuring her, searching for something hidden. Finally, he spoke. "What is your name?" His voice was deep and rough, like stone breaking. The woman blinked. No one had asked her name in years. She had almost forgotten how it felt to say it out loud. Her lips trembled as she answered, ... Lyra. ... Double quotes. The man nodded once. Lyra, he repeated. His tone was flat, but it carried weight. And you? She whispered. The man did not answer right away. His eyes moved over the market, scanning the faces of the crowd. It was clear he was a man who trusted no one, a man who had seen betrayal before. Finally, he said, Kale. The name rolled heavy in the air. The people around them grew quiet for a moment. A few even stepped back. Kale. Someone whispered, "Not him." Lyra's eyes widened. She could feel the tension around them shift. Whoever this man was, his name carried power, maybe fear, but she did not know why. Kale crouched down so his eyes were level with hers. His scar caught the light as he studied her face. "Why are you here?" he asked, her throat tightened. She could not tell him the truth. Not yet. If he knew what she carried, he might kill her, or worse. So she shook her head and whispered, "I am just trying to live." Kale stared at her for a long time. The silence between them grew heavy. Then he stood again and reached into his coat, pulling out another small pack. This time it wasn't food. It was a thin piece of cloth, dark and rough. He dropped it beside her. "Cover yourself," he said. "The crowd stares too much." Lyra's hands shook as she picked it up. No one had ever cared if she was cold or weak or exposed. She wrapped the cloth around her shoulders. It was simple, but it felt like armor. For a moment, she almost felt safe. But the market was changing. The whispers had turned into mutters, and the mutters into shouts. Why protect her? She's a parasite. Throw her out. One man stepped closer, his face red with anger. "You feeding her, Kale? That thing isn't worth food. Let her starve like the rest of her kind." The crowd rumbled with approval. They were not only angry at Lyra, they were afraid. Afraid of her alien blood, afraid of what she might carry. Kale turned his head slowly toward the man. His eyes narrowed, sharp as a blade. The market fell silent. "You want her gone?" Kale's voice was low, dangerous. "Then you do it. The angry man froze. Kale's gaze was heavy, filled with a cold promise. It was the look of someone who had ended lives before and would not hesitate to end another. The man backed away, muttering under his breath. The rest of the crowd lowered their eyes, pretending to return to their business. But everyone knew the truth. Nobody wanted to cross Kale. Lyra stared at him, stunned. Who was this man who could silence a crowd with only his voice and his stare? Kale looked back at her. "Stand," he ordered. Her legs trembled, but she pushed herself up. She was weak, but something in his tone made her obey. The scarred man nodded once. "You can walk." "Good. Where are we going?" she asked softly. Kale did not answer. He simply turned and began walking through the crowd. People moved aside for him without a word. Lyra hesitated. She could run. She could disappear back into the alleys. But her body was too weak and her heart too tired, so she followed him. Every step felt like stepping into a storm. She did not know if he would save her or destroy her. But one thing was certain. This man, Kale, was not like anyone else, and for the first time in her life, she felt her story was only beginning.